As a visitor in this part of the world, we are here now in a country of sacred beauty, blissful biodiversity, happy migrant people, and still vibrant society, making a balance between traditionalism and modernity for several decades now. Yes, this is Bhutan, where you can see some unique systems, synergies, stressors, sanctities, and synchronize of this society in order to solicit and salute.
If the paradise of peace and promotion, strength of solidarity and sanctity, enthralls of androcentrism and entertainment, and conformity of community and culture are to be seen, then probably one should have the privilege of visiting Asia's smallest nation, Bhutan, the land of Thunder Dragon. Bordering India in east and south, China in the north, and Nepal in the west, the country extends to 38,394 square kilometers in area. The country has an impressive forest cover of about 72% of the total area of the country, along with some fertile valleys and savanna. This part of the land, with her lovely people, waited for the wee hours of the 6th of November 2008. On the historic day, the fifth king of the country, His Majesty Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangsuk, was to be crowned as the fifth Druk Gyalpo at the Tasisojung, commonly known as the King's Office. Hectic preparations were on for the whole year in every nook and corner of the country, including the capital city of Thimphu. All institutions, community halls, royal places, and everything related to place and people were renovated, given fresh look and made gorgeous to commemorate the historic occasion.
The coronation of a king is a rare occasion in the contemporary world today. The entire procedure surrounds around the faith in the Almighty, the trust on the subject, rejuvenated responsibilities of the king, and the question of love and affections on the monarchy. His Majesty, the King, Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangsuk, is going to be crowned now, and is going to be a rare view. Yes, it is, indeed.
Incidentally, it also corresponded with the completion of a glorious century of the royal Wangchuk monarchy from 1907 to 2007. The clan continued to remain in the hearts of the common men as a symbol of trust, belief, fortune provider, progress promoter, and selfless service. The first to name in the clan was His Majesty King Uen Wangchuk from 1907 to 1926. Second king, His Majesty King Jigme Wangsuk, reigned from 1926 to 1952. His Majesty Jigme Dorji Wangchuk was the third king and ruled the country from 1952 to 1972. His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangsuk brought tremendous change and development to the country and reigned from 1972 to 2006. And subsequently, Prince Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangsuk was crowned as the King of Bhutan against the stunned international community and overwhelmed Bhutanese people. The new king, who welcomes the steady winds of change, has taken over the responsibility of the throne of Bhutan from his father at the age of 26 in the year 2006, was born on the 21st of February 1980. He had his early education in the country and then went for his high school education to USA and university education to UK, where he completed his MA in Politics and International Relations from Oxford University. He was also in the National Defence College in New Delhi in 2005 and obtained honorary doctorates from the University of New Brunswick, Canada, and Rangsit University, Thailand. The king himself admits that one of his biggest and most sacred responsibilities is to strengthen parliamentary democracy in Bhutan. In fact, he traveled all places in the country, met people, and discussed with them before the draft constitution was put to nationwide referendum and the new political system in the country was introduced.
I'm extremely confident of the success of democracy in Bhutan because democratic values will find fertile ground to grow in Bhutanese society, a society with our own immensely profound age-old values.
The gorgeous King's Palace, with the traditional inscriptions and fondly designed architectural extravaganza, was venue of centuries' most looked forward event, the coronation of His Majesty Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuk. The coronation actually started in the wee hours of 6 November 2008 when the central Hmong body known as Jung Dratsang began performing Lasang Tasi Rekong, that is, incense offering to the guardian deities in the royal altar room adjacent to the chamber of the Golden Throne. But for the whole world started viewing the biggest occasion when there was the colourful procession with the king. Dignitaries arrived well in advance in the south courtyard of the Tasi Chojong. Among the privileged dignified guests were the President of India, Her Excellency Pratibha Patil, the Congress President Mrs. Sonia Gandhi with her son and daughter Rahul and Priyanka, Bhutan's royal family's close family friends, associates, limited number of foreign ministers, including Minister of External Affairs of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, and revered personalities from different parts of the world. Media and media persons, along with correspondents from all over the globe, enrolled there to cover the event. At about 7:45, the grand chibdral procession began when the king arrived and His Majesty the King proceeded on foot in the chibdral procession in front of the media, dignitaries, relatives and royal family members from Bhutan as well as from other countries. Enthralling sounds of traditional musical instruments played by the group of monks from the roof of Tasi Sojong was heard throughout the event. Bhutan's hereditary monarch, the Druk Gyalpo, is the head of the state. However, the Prime Minister heads the government and Jigme Thingley is holding the present position. The National Parliament, which was established in 2008 and replaced the unicameral National Assembly, comprises of two houses. The upper house, the National Council, has 20 elected members and 5 members nominated by the monarch. The lower house, the National Assembly, has 47 members, all of whom are popularly elected. Administratively, Bhutan is divided into 20 districts, which they call as Jongkas. The initiative, however, to change over to democracy was initiated by the country's 4th king, His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangchuk, and the first ever election was peacefully over in March 2008. The pro-monarch Bhutan Harmony Party, also called as Bhutan Peace and Prosperity Party, led by former Prime Minister Jigme Thingley, experienced landslide victory in the election over the People's Democratic Party, which could gather only 1 member to the parliament. The sanctity of the political scenario prevalent in the country can be gauged from the fact that the opposition's People's Democratic Party also supports the monarchy.
So, Karma,
Yes, Mukul?
you are going to attend the coronation of the 5th king today. Don't you ever remember when it was like you have attended the 4th coronation of the 4th king when you were a child?
Why not, of course, Mukul. Then I was a very small, tiny child, but still acts like a fading dream in my mind. And 4th coronation reminded me of those gone days. And then my mother used to put my tiny hands with her, and then she took me to the stadium where you can see the colorful stadium today. It was very I mean, the population was very less then, but then still, we can still remember small children were all gathered together and we were given small badges by the fourth king of Bhutan, the Gyalpo Jingme Singye Wangchuk. And then also, you will not believe, we were given five nong drums for each of the small children. And I was so excited with those money. And my mother was also very happy. And that was very beautiful moment. In fact, I still miss those days, and this has just reminded me. The coronation of the king is classified into three categories: Chi Nang Sang Sung, the inner, secret and outer coronation. They are conducted according to the Buddhist tradition and values. The inner coronation is totally a sacred and secret affair, presided over by the Ji Kengpo, where it is believed that the spiritual empowerment takes place. The outer coronation takes place in the golden throne room where the guests receive the king into the jong. It is here that in presence of the images of Jambayang, that is the Lord of Compassion, the king prostrates 3 times to seek their blessings. The statues on the altar of the throne room took 1 year to be carved out. Inside the throne room, the fourth king, His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangchuk, handed over the crown to the fifth king, His Majesty Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuk, in presence of the queen, who is the mother of His Majesty Jigme Singye Wangchuk, also known as the king's mother. Relatives, royal family members, and President of India, Her Excellency Pratibha Patil, the Congress President of India, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, royal monks, and several other dignitaries. The crown is expected to be decorated with precious stones, each of which represents the Buddhist deities and values. The Raven crown is not only seen as the symbol of Legon Jarong Dongseng and his protection, but also as a representation of the entire Bhutanese spiritual and secular virtues which the monarchs of Bhutan as custodians are to safeguard and advance. The third session of the coronation ceremony commenced when the king proceeded to the jong to receive the blessings offered by the dignitaries. The kings of Bhutan are the upholders of both secular and religious authority. It is in the traditional rites that people make ceremonial religious offerings to the king during his coronation. Although there are provision of offering 8 lucky signs, offering of holy clothes of silk dominate the scene.
So what about the people of Bhutan? Don't you think they are at the crossroad these days?
You know, Mukul, Bhutan is in fact sandwiched between the two big economies, China on the north and India on the south. Growing reliance on electronic devices and information inflow, and going abroad to study and come back and settle in the country for the cause of the gross national happiness. Policy, patronage, promotion, prosperity against peace are the questions at the center stage. The life expectancy of the people is around 64 years for men and 67 years for women, with a literacy rate of around 50% with male domination all around. Bhutan is a land of immigrants. The population of Bhutan comprises of 3 main ethnic groups and can be discriminated largely even today by the Galongs in the west, Sharkshops in the east, and Hotsangfas in the southern belt. As one of the scheduled programs of the coronation, on 6th November in the evening, His Highness King Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangchuk took blessings from the public. As a mark of respect, he also distributed to each of the gathering a coin of 1 nong tram, which is the currency in Bhutan. To make the occasion more graceful, entertaining and merrymaking, the traditional folk dances continue. In fact, all festivals are generally expressed in terms of sharing of love and affection, goodwill for relatives, friends, and merrymaking. One of the most recognized and well-attended festivals of Bhutan is the Seso festival, representing the 10th day of the lunar cycle. The festival is celebrated for 5 to 7 days in between falling the 10th day of the lunar cycle. But it is organized on different days in different monasteries of the country, and females participates in the songs and dances wholeheartedly. Mukul, there you can see one of a typical Bhutanese village.
Can you go over there?
Of course. The heart of the general people in Bhutan actually remains in the villages, which are mostly scattered, of course not ruling out of the colonies. Differences between the rich and the poor cannot be made out very easily here in the villages. But the fact remains that rural communities are to be made the part and parcel of the nation-building process by providing them more opportunities so that development goes hand in hand with conservation in every remote village for improving the quality of life. The houses in Bhutan are compulsorily of traditional type with carved wooden doors in front representing the relics and resemblance of their religion. Agriculture is the mainstay for the people of Bhutan, and among the commonly grown crops there is predominance of rice, corn, root crops, potato, citrus fruits and other food grains. Men and women work together in the field. The general rural life is peaceful, integrated and full of harmony.
Karma, tell me about this.
Well, Mukul, this is a prayer wheel. We Bhutanese often used to go to the monastery to offer our prayer. So this is also one kind of a prayer that we offer. So don't you think this is very colorful and beautiful?
Oh, when I see the intricate designs and the colors they put here, I'm fascinated.
These are the paintings and the arts that we Bhutanese use everywhere. Bhutan is also the last country where Vajrayana form of Mahayana Buddhism is practiced extensively and influences all aspects of their life and livelihood. The colorful flags flying high in the sky of Bhutan are familiar sights. Different types of flags are flown on different occasions, like birth of a child, death of a person, important national or community occasions, including festivals in various places like households, monasteries, marketplaces, and everywhere. Over them, mantras or inscriptions are written to commemorate the various occasions. On 7th November also, the King of Bhutan, His Majesty Jigme Khesar Namgyal Wangchuk, offered a public appearance to a huge gathering of about 40,000 people at the National Stadium of Thimphu. All dignitaries, including the President of India, Her Excellency Pratibha Patil, the Congress President of India, Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, Minister of External Affairs of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee, along with the other invited guests, were also present at different galleries. The national anthem was played and the king took the guard of honor.
The Gakabdi Chala Kanival Tachakoto, Lashitira, Lejime Dendrumate, Drupete, Reval and Activity.
In his speech to the people of the nation, he emphasized on the relation the people and the kings share for the development of the nation to make it a jewel on earth with the values of gross national happiness attributable to the simple basic natures of the countrymen. He promised to show kindness, justice and equality in his actions of good karma as a ruler. He made a special appeal to the youths to become worthy for the nation and vowed to lead the nation to a new height. The charismatic, gorgeous and enchanting traditional songs and dances continued throughout the coronation ceremony.
When we talk about culture, don't you think it's an impression about the traditional way of living of the people and also the efforts of the people to step forward? And what about the culture of Bhutanese people, Karma?
Mukul, culture of Bhutan is a culmination of social, religious and political and contemporary values
obviously.
whose roots dates back to several centuries.
But still provide the platform of performance and preaching, right?
Yes, you're right.
Enchanting traditional songs and dances and cultures of Bhutan are immensely rich and in every step represents their open-heartedness, obligation to Almighty and also an obedience to the established orders of the society. Bhutanese textile has a royal connection with China and dates back to the 7th century. Since then, the enterprise had the privilege of royal patronage. Bhutanese textiles represents a rich and complex showcase of a unique art form. They are characterized by abundance of color, sophistication, attractive designs, and the very ethnic dyeing and weaving techniques. The weavers are more of artistic nature than entrepreneurial behavior. The national dress for the people of the country is compulsory. They wear a knee-length wraparound called gho for men and the ankle-length dress called kira for women. On the 8th of November 2008, in the morning, the King, His Highness Jigme Kesar Namgyal Wangsuk, again had to pay a visit to the National Stadium to attend the wishes of the general people, high officials, royal family members and the guests. Various dance forms by different groups, both traditional and modern, were performed. Different rural games were organized. Most of the games performed on the occasion were related to the excellent physical capabilities and powers of people. Archery is the national game for the Bhutanese. Along with the traditional devices, modern archery instruments of both bow and arrow were also seen being used at the time of the competition. Normally, 2 rounds are played alternately by the rival groups. Well-dressed young women groups either support or oppose the teams by encouraging or distracting the performance. Tucking is the national animal of Bhutan. Bhutanese people give prime importance to protection and preservation of forests and environment. Bhutan has plenty of beautiful tourist places. Tourism is also one of the major enterprises for income of the foreign exchange to the nation. But tourism is restricted due to fear that indiscriminate tourism may pollute the very ethnic mosaics of the society. It was made open only since the year 1974. Among the places of tourist interest, there are few places which will satisfy all kinds of people, and they are Punakha, Wande Phodrang, Trongsa, Bamtang, Mongar, Trasiyang, Trasiyangse, apart from the capital of Thimphu and the airport town of Paro. The only airport of the country managed by the state-owned Druk Airways, which is about 1.5-hour journey from the capital of the country, Thimphu.
Even the places are colorful here. What is the reason behind? Every house, every market is so colorful.
Mukul, the reason behind this is called Paro. It is one of the most important tourist places in Bhutan. We have the National Museum here and also a zong.
The coronation of the Bhutan king is the only of this kind in this century and will never get repeated anywhere in any time in the world with so much of gaiety, gratitude and gracefulness. Let the history of Bhutan continue to bless the people of the nation, and let the monarchy remain at the center stage fulfillment of people's hopes and aspirations, peace and prosperity, strength and solidarity.
I thought I'll come and say hello to you. You're always behind the camera. We're very happy to have you here.
Oh my God.
How are you?
I'm Mukul.
Good to see you again.
Representing Doordarshan India to make a film on coronation of His Majesty. The spectacular coronation of the king in the youngest democracy of the world might get recorded as the only event of its kind in the sanctuary. The celebrations observed, rituals performed, and the sceneries created were of absolute values. They will remain in the hearts of millions all over the globe. But everybody wishes the king's charisma to get over the obstacles and to bring the permanent peace, prosperity, and tranquility to the Bhutanese society, because they will keep empowering the Centurion monarchy